On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we recap the Eagles' beatdown of the Chiefs in Super Bowl 59. Then in football, guys talking basketball, we talk OU hoops and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we finish up with our winners and losers of the weekend. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Monday, February 10th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack, match roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. That was not a great Super Bowl.
Beat down.
Complete, thorough beatdown.
Yeah.
From start to finish, man.
Start to finish. I mean, Chiefs get a couple in late, just to sprinkle a little bit of smell good on it, but it was bad, man. If what they were saying was true, I wasn't keeping tabs, but the Eagles with the 4-man rush created all that havoc. It was Mahomes was running for his life back there.
I would like to point out, when I watch the Chiefs offense, I focus mainly on Creed Humphrey. He played a hell of a game. He was their best player on the field. And they just didn't hold up at the other spots. Joe Thuney, the guy is an incredible guard. He has been filling in at left tackle, and that finally got exposed in this game.
Yep.
And I don't think they should even be like, Chiefs fans shouldn't even be mad at Joe Thuney. Like, he's not a tackle. He was doing the franchise a solid, and
Right.
it kind of finally caught up to him. But Mahomes, that was as uncomfortable as I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes look.
Yeah, it was bad. He was shaking, and he still ran around and tried to create some stuff, but the pick six to Cooper DeJean felt like that was the beginning of the end of the game way back whenever, gosh, that I don't think that was first quarter, maybe early second quarter, but that's whenever it felt like, man, this is going to be very difficult for the Chiefs to be able to score. You always thought, well, maybe they would be able to come from behind and get something going late, but it just played into the Eagles' favor. I mean, you look at the time of possession, and it really doesn't even tell the whole story, but basically 37 minutes to 23. Whew, that's tough.
I picked the Eagles to win the game. I felt good about it. Didn't feel great about it because of the whole Mahomes guy thing, but I thought the game was over after the pick six.
Yeah.
And this is the main reason why. I thought in that moment, Mahomes was already feeling the pressure that he had to go make a play.
Yep.
And that was kind of a sign to me where, he realizes this is not going well. And maybe I'm just overanalyzing a nice play by DeJean. Maybe he just didn't see him, but it felt like in that play, he's like, I got to make a play. I got to make a play. This thing's already getting away from us. And that was the
Yep.
middle of the second quarter.
Yep. Well, I don't think I think he was outside the pocket on that one, right? Or at least moving a little bit. The next interception, he got hit as he was throwing it. And then
Thuney gets pushed right into him, steps on him.
Yep. And then the sack fumble that Philly recovered, he was trying to uncork one deep and trying to make something happen, but couldn't even get that off. So, I mean, 2 of the 3 turnovers that are credited to him, not his fault. The first one, yeah, probably forcing it, but the other two just offensive line of scrimmage battle, like we talked about in this one. With all those studs for the all across the defensive line for Philly, too much.
It was really impressive. And maybe the most impressive thing was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
Best player on the field. Other than what he made the one mistake with the interception where I don't know what Philly's offensive line was doing. They just cut Bolton free. He runs right through the A gap and gets in Hurts' face, and he kind of panics and throws it up. Other than that one mistake, he was excellent.
efficient, smooth, didn't force anything, hit a couple of beautiful throws. And then, anytime it felt like Kansas City was going to put some pressure on him, he would just step up through a gap and go pick up a first down.
It was one of the classic examples of it's a lot easier to play the quarterback position when you're protected.
Yeah.
He, for the vast majority of the game, was sitting back there in the pocket, comfortable, and you just looked at Mahomes. It just felt like every time he dropped back, someone was either in his lap or in his face or hitting him. It just was. It was interesting to watch the position be played in two completely different ways. And you're like, oh yeah, if a guy can sit in the pocket and be comfortable and go through his reads, he can push it down the field. He can put the ball out there, let his guys go make some plays. The deep ball on the touchdown to Devontae Smith was beautiful from Hurts.
Perfectly placed.
But yeah, Hurts was really the only OU guy in the game that really made a significant impact other than Creed and Lane Johnson, who clearly were playing every snap for the offenses. I thought Lane played really, really well as well. But yeah, the story of it from an OU perspective was, hey, Jalen Hurts went out in the Super Bowl and balled, and we're recording this right after the game. I assume he has been named Super Bowl MVP by now.
That's what I'm doing. I'm scanning through the game recap to see if it mentioned they didn't have. I didn't see it in here yet, but I mean, it would have to be him. Which I mean goes to another point. If you would have said before the game that the Chiefs hold Saquon Barkley to 57 on 25 carries and no touchdowns, you'd be like, okay, we're in this thing. We got a pretty good shot at winning it, but not the case.
Anything else about the game that really stood out to you other than Kendrick Lamar's jeans at halftime? I was so worried he was going to step on those and trip. I couldn't not focus on them. I was so worried about it.
What did you think of the halftime show?
I think it's going to be a clear divide between people that really like hip hop and not. There's probably an age gap there. I thought the show itself was very entertaining.
Yeah.
But as it unfolded, I think we all had the same thought, like, hey, there's going to be a lot of people that really don't know this. But the show overall, I thought they did it really well.
I didn't know most of the songs, which maybe that's sad, but I liked that it was kind of about him, and like it wasn't a bunch of like craziness, They had some stuff going on, but it was pretty clean in that department. Sometimes I think they try and go way overboard on all of the theatrics. So I like that about it. It was fine, but I'm with you. It's like if you're a Kendrick Lamar fan, it was probably amazing. If you're not, you probably were left confused a bit, maybe.
Yeah, there was probably some people that are like, that was awful, and that's okay. That it wasn't for you. That's okay. You don't have to pretend you like everything. That's okay. That's fine. I think there were plenty of people that enjoyed it. And I assume there are quite a few people that went, not for me. I do think the key to a good Super Bowl halftime show is sing-along songs.
Yeah.
And it's hard for like hip hop just in general. It's hard to unless they're, more R&B-ish stuff. Like The Weeknd was perfect. Ton of sing-along, ton of catchy hooks that everyone knows. Like that was great. I think this Kendrick Lamar show, this halftime show, probably the Venn diagram, like the middle section was probably a little smaller than the
Yeah,
weekend, if
that's a
that
good
makes
way to
sense.
put it. No, that's a good way to put it. Yep.
That was a beatdown,
It
man.
was a beatdown.
I don't know how much analysis is needed.
Thank goodness for like the squares game. Do you ever play the squares where you get like the final scores or like the first, second? If it wasn't for that we would have gave up on the game a long time ago. But we had a lot of drama late with all the scoring that was going on late to see who was going to get all the cash.
I I bought a couple squares to support my nephew's baseball team. I'm not even sure what squares I had. I'm not gonna lie. If I won, that would be news to me. I don't. I maybe I did. I don't know. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer, right?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I was thrilled about the matchup. I thought it was going. I had all of the makings of a great game, and it never really was. The Eagles jumped out, grabbed a hold of it, and the way that their defensive line played, you just felt like there was no way Kansas City's all. I mean, at one point they were 0 of 8 on third down, and I mean they had I, I don't know, like I don't know how many, like 12 or 14 yards at one point, maybe at halftime. It was brutal.
6 sacks for the Eagles, and
And a lot more of running for your life, getting rid of the ball, trying to scramble and not getting much.
I thought early in the game, for me, it like in the first two drives for the Chiefs offensively, I looked at it and went, they can't run the ball against this team.
Yep.
Other than 52 at the center spot, there were a lot of guys across that offensive line that were struggling.
Yep.
52 held up his end of the bargain. Believe me, I watched it. That's all I watch when I watch their offense. But there was nothing there. And then they fell in the hole and just kind of abandoned it, man.
It's the holy grail of football. If you can create that type of havoc on a quarterback and only rush four and keep seven back in pass coverage, even an offense and a guy like Patrick Mahomes is going to have a brutal time. Now, sometimes you have to add, 5 or 6 to the rush, but you're hanging on the back end. That's whenever there's a ton of green grass for guys to get free in and complete some big chunks. But you're dropping seven, staying two shell over the top. There's just not a lot of space.
Kareem Hunt had 3 carries for 9 yards. Samaje Perine, 1 carry for 8 yards. Pacheco, 3 carries for 7 yards. Some quick math tells me that the Kansas City Chiefs running backs had 24 yards rushing.
7 carries for 24, and Mahomes had, 4 scrambles for 25. Yeah. I mean, it took them a long time before they even tried to run it.
It
Then they
is.
ran it twice in a row. Brick wall is like, okay, we're done with that.
Should we have known? It was pretty early into the game where they cut to the sideline and Travis Kelce had that look on his face like, oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yep.
It's almost like those guys from the Chiefs knew early, hey, man, we are outmatched here.
Yep. Yep.
What a performance by the Eagles. Dude, that was a complete whooping.
They cut to Fangio in the up there in the box and talked about him for a long time. Dude, that is a defensive coordinator's dream to where you just, I mean, they probably called 3 calls the whole night. Just let that 4-man rush eat. And
I
when they had one of the things that you don't want to do is let defensive linemen get some stuff going early where they're like, you want those guys to get annoyed, frustrated that nothing's happening. But when they get a lot of action early, they are flying off the football.
I was hoping Because OU had the most guys playing in the Super Bowl for the third straight season, which is awesome. Now, clearly, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, OU guy, that's awesome. But I was hoping we'd get some more action for the other guys out there. The ball just really didn't,
Yeah.
P. Ryan didn't get hardly any opportunities. Poor Hollywood, you score a touchdown in the Super Bowl and it gets called back. That sucks.
Like, what are we doing on the rub route? If you go in there and like shoulder a guy like this, it's getting called 100% of the time. Can't you like play it off a little?
You got to be a better actor.
That was
It
bad.
was as blatant as it gets. And I was starting to complain. I was like, oh, come on. The game's over. It's Hollywood. Give him a touchdown. And then they replayed it. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, you can't even allow that to go through. But yeah, man, it was kind of frustrating. Just as a spectator, that we didn't have some drama out there because, again, it was early in that game. The outcome felt like it was determined.
Winchester snaps on all those punts were fantastic.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Any other thoughts on the Super Bowl before we start complaining about Oklahoma basketball?
I don't
I
know.
have some, I wrote down, like, I like to write down random notes during the Super Bowl. And one of my first notes was the score bug is weird.
I saw everyone complaining about it, and I didn't even notice it at first. And then whenever I looked at it, I kind of liked it.
I didn't dislike it. It was just weird. It was just
Yeah.
different. Like you can't you can't roll something out like something new out on me at the Super Bowl, guys. You got to warn a fella. Come
Yeah.
on.
It looked like the font was super old school. I don't know. It was definitely interesting.
It felt like some of the high school football teams that live stream their games.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
how it felt.
Exactly. Which, hey, I like it. Stripped back, minimalist. I'm fine with that. It just took a while to get used to.
One of my other notes. I want to know what Kevin Costner and Pete Davidson were talking about.
Yeah, that was an interesting pairing for
I
sure.
didn't. I did not see that coming.
Was that one of those where they just walk up and happen to be sitting next to each other, or is that a planned thing?
I I want to know what that conversation was like. They showed him on camera. I was like, what an interesting duo. I thought the Ram commercial with Glenn Powell was very funny.
That was good. We at my house, we got a kick out of the Mountain Dew with Seal.
That was good.
That was funny. That was
I
really good.
I would say the strangest commercial of the night. I maybe it was like was it for whipped cream or like coffee creamer or what was
Coffee
it?
cream,
Just
the tongue.
the tongue? What was that, dude?
Hey, if they want to get people talking, that was about as awkward as it could have been, and I'm sure that. Uh, I mean, not that people love it, but that's probably going to get a lot of airtime. People talking about it.
Ooh, I forgot about that play. Hopkins wide open. Mahomes just misses him.
Is that the one? Is that the one where he kind of dropped it or
It
whatever?
kind of it was just weird. It was like a weird.
I thought he should have just
He
ran
was
through it.
wide open.
Yeah, wide open. That was
He
a wild
doesn't
play.
miss normally. Like normally, he puts that right in the guy's breadbasket. He was just off, man.
Yep.
My
That's
only
what
other
happens.
note: I did not see Samuel L. Jackson that whole his like role in that coming, but somehow he just makes every role work, man. He nailed it. He was
Yeah,
fantastic.
that was funny because we were like, I don't know these songs, and then he popped out. He was like, but we know that guy. We were hoping he was going to ask someone to find his wallet. Was would have been the best part of it.
That was great. I'm sure there's going to be. I think since the game was so, I mean, it was boring. Let's be real. It was just
Boring. Yeah.
it was boring. I think the halftime show may end up being the most discussed thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how Kendrick Lamar wore that jacket. That jacket looked so hot to perform for that long in that jacket. He had to underneath had to just be disgusting.
Melting
Oh,
jeans sticking to your legs and Yeah.
How do you feel about the flare out at the bottom, Gene?
I mean, it took me back to high school a little bit when everyone used to wear the super baggy jeans. But
Should I get you a pair? Would you, if I got you a pair, would you wear them?
I'm a hard no on those.
Okay. I figured that was the case. This is what happened. This is what the Eagles defense has done.
Yep.
We're over here talking about Kendrick Lamar's jeans instead of, a tight ball game in the fourth quarter. This is what happens. This is what this conversation becomes when there's just an absolute blowout in the Super Bowl.
It's a beatdown when we're talking about jeans, placement of celebrities in the stands. Yeah, all of that.
Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts.
Number 2 for Lane.
Pretty cool, man. Two-time Super Bowl champion, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
I remember that guy when he didn't have a bed to sleep on in the dorm. Look at him now. It's so cool. It's so cool. And then Hurts I think that, let's be real, he outplayed Mahomes. Like, I think that once you win a Super Bowl as a quarterback, whether it's right or wrong, you get put on a different tier.
Yep.
And
right.
People can continue to doubt him, but he's the Super Bowl champion. He's the Super Bowl MVP, and he's a dang good NFL quarterback, man. I mean, just maybe he'll get a little more respect now. And that includes from, I would say from us. Like, I feel like there was always still this little doubt with what he can do as a player. And I don't know if you can doubt that guy anymore.
I'm sitting here thinking about it. I guess if Rodgers finds a home, there's not very many active Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. I can only think of 2. And then Rodgers, if he's going to be active. There's probably another one in there that I'm not thinking of. Stafford.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Yep. There's some out
Stafford.
there. But it's thinned out as a lot of those guys have aged out. There's not a whole lot. So, like, to your point, once you're in that group, it's a little bit different.
I would assume, the Eagles have a lot of guys back. I would assume they're going to be the betting favorite. You may be able to look it up right now. They may be the betting favorite to win it again next year. That's a dang good football team, man.
Really good. Really good.
I'm so glad that I convinced myself to be brave and pick them to win the game.
It's a big pick. It's one of those things where we're everyone's just so used to Kansas City being able to pull it off. Pretty much everyone said the same thing. I think Philly's the better team, but the Chiefs find a way to win it. Nope, not this time. And it kind of feels like, is that the end of the Chiefs' run? It kind of feels that way, doesn't it?
I would say some of the mystique definitely went away tonight.
Yep.
Because
they're old in some places, and
they got, it wasn't even a game, man.
Yep.
They need to get Patrick Mahomes some tackles. I think he's been very patient. He may need to start ruffling some feathers there and say, get me some damn tackles.
Yep. Well, it's a good point. Especially
I don't need my all-pro guard playing tackle in the Super Bowl, okay?
Yep.
There's other quarterbacks making more money than him. That shouldn't be the case either. But it is. At least go get the guy some tackles.
Isn't it crazy, like, how quickly he got passed up? Like, he signed that huge deal, and it was like, oh, my God, are they making a mistake? And then very quickly it became they've got him on a discount.
Get the man some tackles. Yep. I actually thought the Chiefs defense, like early in the game before the floodgates opened a little bit, I thought they were playing pretty, decently. Like, Philly's really good on offense.
Yeah.
They're holding Saquon in check, gave up some big plays, right, on kind of some 50-50 balls. But other than that,
well,
they were holding up there into the bargain. And then,
yeah, just the amount of time that they ended up being on the field. Remember I said 37-23, and the play count was massively in the Eagles' favor. And the Chiefs had some drives late in the fourth quarter, but for 3 quarters of that football game, the Chiefs defense was on the field the entire time.
I just can't wait for the celebration videos from Philadelphia.
They can't top the first one where they spray painted the police horse. I mean, I guess maybe I shouldn't speak too quickly, but
Don't doubt those people. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. Let's talk about how things went for the Sooners on the hardwood this weekend. But first, hitting the highway, remember to stop at Love's Travel Stops. You can't miss the heart of the highway. And with the Love's app, you can also save big. How big? 10 or 15 cents big. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas and 15 cents per gallon on auto diesel. Save with the Love's app today and be welcomed by clean places and friendly faces. Certain conditions may apply. See loves.com for details.
You listen to this podcast to get insight from the guys who played the game. Why don't you take that same approach when it comes to buying your beef? When you order from Didier Ranch, you are getting your beef directly from the people who raise it. A rancher knows what it takes to have premium quality beef. Didier Ranch has done it for over 100 years right here in Oklahoma. From delicious 21-day dry-aged ribeyes to savory steak burgers, there is no better place to get your beef. Get your beef from the guys who've done it and use code Oklahoma15 for 15% off on DidierRanch.com. Didier Ranch, tradition tastes better.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, an Oklahoma-owned company and the official drinkware partner of the OU Sooners. Simple Modern recently launched a new, incredibly robust personalizer that allows you to create personalized drinkware for any occasion. You could get personalized water bottles for your kiddo's spring soccer team or wow the one you love for her birthday or Mother's Day with something you create just for her. You can even upload your kiddo's artwork to be engraved on a bottle. Plus, with 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, many in Oklahoma, you're also helping Oklahomans everywhere. Create something one of a kind on simplemodern.com. Simple Modern, it's good everywhere. All right, time for football, guys. Talking basketball. Ted, it did not go well for the Sooners on Saturday.
No, it didn't.
It was, they were just outmatched. I don't know what else to say other than that. Now, Tennessee, they shot the heck out of the ball. Let's be real. They hit a lot of shots, especially in that first half, where I really don't know what the Sooners could have done. All the easy baskets they got in the second half, that was disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they just shot the lights out in the first half, and that thing was over. And I thought the biggest issue as I watched the game was that OU just could not guard them off the dribble. Like they just couldn't guard the ball. They were getting blown by, couldn't stay in front of the guys for Tennessee. And it resulted in them having to scramble defensively. There were a lot of layups, and then Tennessee would kick it out to open shooters, and Tennessee just guys weren't missing, man. That was,
I think they hit their first 7 threes. I think they were 7 for 7.
I think they hit 14 of their first 16 shots.
Yeah. They were hitting threes and getting really good looks at the rim. Great drive, penetration, either finish at the rim or, force the help to come over, easy dish for an easy layup or dunk on the other side of it. It was that's a really good basketball team. I mean, I think you said it. We were outmatched and they started red hot. And, you got pretty much what we're used to from our roster. I was hoping that we were going to be able to shoot the three really well. But, I guess the starters continue to shoot it pretty decently, but we never found any real rhythm. We couldn't get on any runs. I don't know that the turnover numbers were terrible for us, but a lot of the turnovers were bad turnovers that led to easy buckets the other way.
If Tennessee shoots the ball like that, not many teams in the country that can beat them. I mean,
Yeah.
because they're arguably the best defensive team in the country. You look at all the statistics, like they are one of the best defenses in all of college basketball. And they just shot the lights out. Now, I think it feels like the OU fan base is at an all-time high when it comes to the frustration level. I went I went to a charity event on Saturday night. I had the same conversation 50 times. Everyone's just mad. The fan base is mad, man. And it wasn't that, I don't think it's that they lost. Like the two games they played this week, the two top five teams. It's not the fact that they've lost, it's the fact that it's been non competitive.
Yeah. Yep. Um, I there's no doubt they've played three top five teams already this year and got blown out by all three of them. Now, I don't think that anyone felt like we had a top five basketball team, and I don't think that anyone during any real stretch, after we really hit conference play and figured out what realistically what we have, I don't think anyone expected us to beat either Auburn or Tennessee. So it's not, I guess things aren't, I think it's kind of unfolded as people would have expected, but you don't feel like there's much glimmer of hope there. I mean, it's one thing if you lose to number one team on the road and then the number four team in back-to-back games, but you should be able, or you hope to come away from one or both of those games with a glimmer of hope or something to latch on to, or hey, if we were close, we were competitive. There's just not a whole lot to grasp a hold of right now. I mean, it's frustrating because this isn't really anything new. It's been a while since we've been really competitive in hoops, but for whatever reason, being in a new conference, I think people are tuned into it, and it's become apparent overwhelmingly that we are not in a good spot, or not in a spot where people want us to be. And I don't know, maybe it's a good thing whenever you have a bunch of people that are vocal about their frustrations instead of just tune off and tune out, and there's just don't even pay it any mind. So maybe that's something you could say about it.
I would not say, like, I don't believe there's like apathy, right? The fan
Right.
base clearly cares. Like I feel like this is as engaged as the fan base has been in hoops in a while. I could be wrong, but a lot of people are talking about OU basketball on social media. Now, the things they're saying, there's a lot of frustration, but it does feel like the fan base as a whole is dialed into what's going on with men's basketball. I think that the frustration lies that when they've played those elite teams, it just hasn't been close at all.
Right.
And,
Yep.
and the final score of this game, 70-52, is not indicative of what that game was. Like the Sooners were. Now, you had the first 4 or 5 minutes. It was awesome,
Right.
incredibly entertaining, back and forth. I was sitting there going, this is going to be a great game. This is going to be fantastic to watch. And then the gap between the two teams became very apparent as that game went on. And I don't know. I don't know what to say other than you can talk about Porter Moser not being the guy. You can talk about getting a new coach. Ultimately, you got to have players.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think as a fan base, we got to figure out if we want to be good at hoops. I hate to say it, you got to go buy some players, right? I mean, that just is it that simple? That's kind of how it felt because when you looked at Tennessee's guys versus our guys, you went, hey man, the team in the black looks a lot better on the hoof.
Yeah. And that's it's been a theme that we've seen a lot this season is whenever you take the floor, I mean, you have a couple of matchups you like, but there's a lot of matchups where you're on the bad end of it. And there's been times in college basketball where you can you can get by or you can perform well if you don't have the check mark on the athleticism at every single spot on the roster, but you have guys that have been in your system for 4 or 5 years, when you're an old team, and we just don't have that. We've had to put together almost an entirely new roster every single year. And if you do that, you have to be the most athletic, and we're not. So it's just been, I hate it for Porter because it's been a really tough go of it. And I don't know how you want to say it, but their funding for their roster, I don't know that it's posted or I haven't seen it anywhere for any teams, but there's not a lot of money to spread around in the basketball program NIL department against some of these other teams that, at least that's how it appears to me, but I don't know. It's hard to just like you have to pile up a bunch of money and go get players. That's kind of how it is. We've had really good players here that have had a stop, and then you see them out there across the country performing really well for some schools, but I don't know, man. I wish I had the answers for it.
Is there anything we can look at from the Tennessee game and be like, hey, that was a real positive? I think that's another frustrating thing is even if you're searching, man, they only scored 52 points.
We were 100% from the foul line. We continue to be the best free throw shooting team in the SEC.
There you go. There's some positivity, Ted. Good work. But other than that, and it has a lot to do with Tennessee having a guy like Opara who can protect the rim.
Yeah.
Their ball pressure, the Sooners were so uncomfortable and off balance all game long because of that ball pressure, how physical they were, the length, the athleticism. It was just, it felt like OU was off balance all game long offensively.
Yeah. It was very hard to get anything going off the dribble. And they've got the length to, if you do get to an edge of a guy and you're past them, they come over and protect and help, and it's hard to get anything in the pick and roll game, at least it was for us. And on the flip side, they were blowing by our defenders. I mean, Ziegler, is that how you say his name? He is quick.
Not a
He
big
was
guy, not a big guy, but he can ball. What he
was
hit
fun to watch.
17 and 9
Yeah.
for Ziegler. Uh,
Hit
Chaz,
some incredible threes.
yeah, they were. I was really, really impressed with Tennessee. They're ranked number 4 in the country for a reason.
Yep.
Okay. But I do think the second half and how Tennessee got so many easy baskets, whether it was like backdoor cuts, a few
Yep.
lobs. It would have been nice to see the Sooners show a little more focus at that point in the game, but it was also really good execution for Tennessee. So maybe I'm just making excuses. I don't know, man, but that was not fun to watch. I did not have a good time.
No, we went to the game. Decent crowd, not great. Just kind of like it's been, I would guess. Maybe a little more than it's been, but not a great crowd.
I don't really blame OU fans, man. You're getting run off the floor in your own gym. And I get it. It's not the best arena in the world. I get it, man, but these teams like the most common thing for OU in conference play at home is to fall down double digits to the opponent. Like
Yeah.
that's been the most consistent thing they've done. So I know people constantly complain about the fan base and not showing up for basketball, but I mean there's a relationship here between the team playing well and fans showing up, you know?
There is a little bit of, is it the chicken or the egg situation here? Um, but I think no matter what, you have to have the play first. We're not this isn't a Kentucky. This isn't a North Carolina. This isn't a Duke. We've had some really good hoops teams and long stretches of really good hoops teams. But it's not a basketball school. So you're not going to you have to have a good product to get the fans there. I guess is what I'm saying ultimately. Yeah, once the fans are there, does it help the team play better? Yeah, I think it does. When you have a crazy home environment, I definitely think that feeds in. It's college basketball home court may be in all of sports the 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 one that affects the game the most. But with the nature of what we are as an athletic program, basketball is not at that spot where people are it's gonna sell out no matter how good the team is. It's not where we are. Not I think that it's definitely a factor that the Thunder, we're the only team in the SEC that has a professional basketball team in our backyard. I mean, I guess you could say Georgia maybe with the Hawks, but nobody has one as close as we do. I mean, our fans are a massive chunk of what is sitting in the Thunder stands on a nightly basis, and I think that has affected us. Now, is that an excuse? Perhaps it is, but I do think you have to at least agree that has had some effect. But ultimately, the only thing that's going to get people to show up and pack the place is when the product is warranting that. I mean, so that's just the reality, at least in my mind. Schwab Meat has been smoking the highest quality meats, hot dogs, and sausages in OKC since 1912. Go to schwabmeat.com to order any of Schwab's outstanding products and use promo code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab dogs are iconic. I like to keep it simple. Just a bun, dog, mustard, ketchup. Also, the jalapeno cheddar smoked sausage is ridiculous. schwabmeat.com, code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab Meat, the official hot dog of game days. And head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game. And with all the garage locations being open at 10 p.m. or later every night, it's the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood. Insurica has launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
Until there are some type of concrete rules in place, it may be as simple as this for OU basketball. You need to get a group of 10 to 15 people that want OU hoops to be good, pool some money together, and go get some players. Because while OU has some really solid basketball tradition, it's not well known for hoops, like you mentioned, Ted. Mm-hmm. We don't have a great arena. So how are you going to get guys? How are you going to get difference makers to come play basketball at Oklahoma? It's pretty simple, man. You pay them.
Yep.
So if there's a group of people out there that want to be those people, you can run out of the tunnel with the team for all I care. You can sit on the bench, get all the special treatment you want. Like if maybe that's what it takes, man. I
I don't think there's any doubt that that's what it takes. And you got to have.
well, then someone do it.
Oh, I wish I could. I mean, if I win the lottery,
Let's
I
put a
would.
group together. Reach out to us if you want to be part of the OU basketball NIL syndicate.
The syndicate. Yeah, man. I think that's and you have to do it to where you you can lock guys up, good players for extended amount of time. Like the 1 year rental thing it's very hard. I mean, some people have been able to do that in the past, but if you can stay old, like I'm looking at a picture here of Broom for Auburn. He's a 5th year senior. He's played 5 years of basketball. He's been at Auburn for 3 of them, and I mean he's just like you got to have guys like that. There's such a massive discrepancy between a 5th year 6'10" power forward that has as much experience as that going up against a second year guy that maybe is a transfer from a lower area. It's just you got to have players like that in this conference, man. You just do.
The Thunder are making us feel better about OU basketball. Back to back for the Thunder on Friday and Saturday, and they win them both. Let's start with Thunder Raptors 10 on Friday night. Thunder win 121-109. And really the story of the game was Chet Holmgren's back. How's he look? Looked pretty solid, man.
Yeah.
Protected the rim really well. Had 4 blocks, altered, many more shots than that. I think he was a little rusty maybe in some of his movement patterns, but overall, the guy was a plus 22 in 22 minutes. So it's going to take a little time, I think, for him and Hartenstein to develop a little chemistry and how that lineup is going to work together. But I thought Chet looked as good as you could possibly ask coming off the broken hip.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think he's going to be a little rusty. And then I'm sure, I don't know, but I would imagine there's got to be a little bit of a learning curve or a chemistry development where these guys really start to get into their rotations and their communication, understand exactly how each guy plays. Everyone plays a little bit different. I don't know how much of a factor that is, but the good thing is there's plenty of time, and you're in a really good position right now, best record in the league, to let that chemistry and everything develop organically. It's not like you're going to have to force anything. The Terminator 2 glasses.
That was Chet's post-game look.
Nice.
Very I had multiple people point out very grandma's boy. If you've seen that movie, it's been a long time, but go look it up if you haven't seen it. This is why people watch on YouTube for stuff like this. But I thought everything we saw Friday night was really encouraging. Andrew Wiggins continues to be,
yeah,
as the 5th starter. And I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing or if Mark Daignault's going to mix that 5th starter up a little bit. But my goodness, is Wiggins playing well. And that's a great transition into what we saw on Saturday night. The Thunder didn't have no Dort, which think whatever you want about Lou Dort. Like, he's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. He's a starter for this team. Like, he's a huge piece of what they do. He wasn't playing. They rested Chet, which I think is an extremely smart decision. And Cason Wallace didn't play because he's dealing with the shoulder. So that's 3 out of your top 6, 7, and they just went in to Memphis, who's the number 2 seed in the West, and frankly, pushed them around, dude.
Well, they were up almost 30 in the third quarter. I mean, they were just absolutely rolling.
Hammered them on the glass. It was, and I don't want to, and Memphis is the highest scoring team in the league. When you and I think they held them to 11 points or so below their scoring average this season. And the thing that continues to stand out about the Thunder is just the effort and the intensity they play with. Memphis just, to me, it just looked like Memphis couldn't match it. And Memphis is a good team, but, and I don't want to overreact to just one game, but the Thunder just looked like they were on a completely different level than Memphis in this game.
Yep, I agree. I agree. I don't know. It's hard to come up with any problems. You just, if they stay healthy and Chet gets acclimated, gets his legs back, gets his fitness back, stays healthy, and they work out those, some of the rotation, some of the minutes and stuff, and how it's all going to function. I mean, outside of that, it's a well-oiled machine right now.
Thunder were 18 of 42 from 3 against Memphis. They shoot it like that, they're going to win it all.
Yeah.
I mean, just with how good they are defensively, if they shoot the 3 around that 40% mark, like, they're going to win the title. Aaron Wiggins was 8 of 13 from 3. Let it fly, Wiggins. Dude is playing. He is playing some really, really good basketball. And watching the Memphis game, Hartenstein, he's just such a winning player. The dude plays hard. He shares the ball. He was a monster on the glass in that game. 14 rebounds. I think the only positive takeaway for Memphis is those throwback jerseys are so sick. Like the Vancouver Grizzlies look, those are all-timers, man. I couldn't stop looking at those jerseys. I was like, man, those look sweet.
It's back to the 90s where like you almost had like the cartoon colors for a lot of teams. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but a good look. Very good look.
Ja Morant, you don't have to go back that long. And I know he had the off the court stuff, but a lot of people kind of thought he was going to be maybe the face of the NBA. With Luka Doncic, he was in that conversation just a couple years ago. Shea looked so much better than him in this game. It wasn't even close. The gap between those two guys, like Shea could get whatever he want, and Ja just, I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's out of shape. I don't know what, but Shea looked, once again, Shea looked like he's on a different level than Ja Morant currently.
Well, this year he is for sure. I mean, it is interesting. Ja Morant, he's averaging 20 points a game. It looked like he was ready to take off, and then you mentioned the off the court stuff. It's like he hadn't grabbed that magic back. I mean,
No.
he was the must see nightly basketball, and I don't know if he's pulled back some of his game from that because he was playing pretty risky. Just putting it on the line, selling out at the rim every night. But if he's trying to adapt his game a little bit to have some staying power, it's not going that great so far.
The Thunder still have 31 games left. But currently, they have a 13.0 net rating. The best net rating ever in a season is the 1995-1996 Chicago Bulls with a 13.4 net rating.
Wow.
The 96-97 Bulls had a 12.0 net rating, and the 16-17 Warriors had an 11.6. I throw all of those numbers at you, Ted, to say we've got a damn squad, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then remember, this team has played one game with Hartenstein and Chet available. One. I know that as Oklahomans, we are, I don't want to say we're naturally pessimistic, but I would say we're very cautious with getting too excited about things.
Yeah.
I don't think we can get too excited about this team. I think if your thought is this team should win the title, I think that's perfectly fine. You've got the best player in the world right now. No one's playing better basketball than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on planet Earth. And then all the advanced metrics, all these things are on, like, just point to this being a historically good basketball team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think that whenever you look at everything and how the season has gone up to this point, I don't think it's at all I mean, I think you could say that they should win the championship this year. I think that's fair to say. I don't. Do they have to earn it? Like some of those things, I don't know. But you tell me who, whether it's out of the East or what, who is like, because things change in playoff basketball whenever you get to, you're playing a series. Who worries you the most about, a series, whether it's matchups or whatever it might be?
In the West,
Yeah.
what, the Lakers? You have to acknowledge Luka and LeBron, like it's hard to predict how a series would go, Like,
Right.
but we haven't seen those guys play together at all. So Memphis certainly doesn't scare me. What, I'm supposed to be scared of the Houston Rockets? Now they're young and fun, and I really like watching that team play. Super athletic, but Dallas with Anthony Davis, Phoenix, that played, they may not even make the playoffs. Like, that's where it's, someone tell me why the Thunder won't make the finals. Other than this group hasn't done it.
Right. That's
like the only thing you can say at this point.
Yeah. And I guess this group hasn't done it, and we need some time to see how the LeBron Luka Lakers thing plays out. Right. But even that, it's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to find. And I think kind of the same thing out of the East, right?
Cavs look great. You have to give Boston a certain respect. Now there is a part of me that thinks that team can turn it up a level when the playoffs start. Like, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But this is an unusual spot for us. We have the best team. We do. And it's just like, how do we act when we have the best team?
Until the point where, yeah, it's funny.
Let's finish up with our winners and losers of the weekend. But first, if you're as passionate as we are about OU sports, here's your chance to get involved with One Oklahoma. As the official NIL partner of the University of Oklahoma, One Oklahoma is the difference that makes all the difference. As a member, your subscription will help recruit and support the athletes that become Sooner legends. But you'll also get exclusive events, videos, merchandise, giveaways, and so much more. Join the team and make an impact for your Sooners. Go to oneoklahoma.com and subscribe today. And 3 things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise. It's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go.
Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School represents a tradition of educational excellence in Oklahoma City. Grounded in a faith-based education, Bishop McGuinness offers a college prep curriculum that includes 26 AP courses, participation in OSSAA athletics, and numerous clubs and organizations for students to join and grow. If you want to provide the best possible educational and spiritual development for your children, contact Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School or visit bmchs.org. Financial aid is available.
And go to opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED for 10% off our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED. Buttery soft and 10% off. As always, Ted, kicks off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
Well, I got to start with OU softball. Off to a 5-0 start. Actually playing right now as we speak against Patty Gasso's alma mater, Long Beach State. But they've looked pretty good. They got a bunch of new people in the lineup. You know, the familiar faces that won 4 straight championships, a lot of those girls have cycled out. And, you know, we've got some portal players, some young players coming in, and they've performed pretty good so far. Got tested against San Diego State, and that wasn't unexpected. You know, some people have San Diego State as a top 25 team. Everyone expects them to be a postseason team. That one went to extra innings. We got a grand slam from Emmerling there in the 9th, so that was really cool. But I think you got to say softball, even though there's some questions, so far they've been off to a pretty good start.
I was keeping up with it via the softball social media feed, which whoever runs that feed does an awesome job. And I was able to turn a couple of the games that were on Soonersports.com, hopped on, watched a couple of those. I think it's safe to say Patty Gasso has a very talented team. I think it's really cool what they're doing, though. Going out there, playing these teams at their place to help make all these programs a lot of money because people come out to watch OU. Yep. They do. That has been proven year after year after year now that OU softball is maybe the biggest draw in softball, period. I'm not familiar with like the professional Japanese softball league. Maybe they draw huge numbers as well.
That's true. Yeah, that could be the case.
So I don't want to make an uneducated statement, but in the United States, it feels like OU softball is the biggest draw in softball. And I think it's really cool that they chose to go play these games on the road and, frankly, make these programs a lot of money because people are going to come watch OU. It's really cool. Patty Gasso didn't have to do that. I think that's really, really cool what they're doing.
Yeah, they usually play in those invitationals or whatever. And
the Mary Nutter.
Yeah. But she wanted these schools to make money, and they tried to say, well, if we host at our school, we'll do it with like no admission fee. And Coach S is like, no, we will not do it unless you charge for tickets. All right, we want you guys to make money off this deal, which is really cool. And have to mention, not much of a surprise at all, but maybe that's why it's not even wasn't even hardly that big of a story. But Patty Gasso's going to coach the Olympic team coming up. Awesome.
It's like the biggest no-brainer of all time, right?
I know. That's why I think maybe it just kind of slid through the cracks a little bit.
We'll get Coach Gasso on here to talk about that because that's a big deal. It's a huge deal. But she's probably laser focused on getting this squad where she wants to get it to. But yeah, that's gonna be really cool. We're hosting the Olympics in the United States. There's only one person to coach the Olympic softball team. Let's be real, and that's Patty Gasso.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that'll be really cool whenever it happens. I know we're a ways out from that, but adding a gold medal to the accomplishments list is about the only thing left for Coach Gasso. I mean, She could win 5 straight national championships. Whatever, however long that goes on. I think she's got to the point now where obviously people kind of, that's the expectation, but you put the gold medal in there, that makes things look really nice.
No doubt. Who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
Lamar Jackson, MVP runner up. Josh Allen takes the MVP. Controversial for some people. What did you think of that?
I I thought this was very interesting. Lamar Jackson has more passing yards,
Yes,
more passing touchdowns,
correct.
fewer interceptions,
Yes.
a higher completion percentage,
Mm-hmm.
more rushing yards, and a higher rushing average. He is the first player in NFL history to have better statistics in all that categories than the person that won MVP. But he's already won 2 MVPs. I think that's the biggest factor here is that he's already won 2 and Josh Allen hadn't won one. I think it's that simple for me. Josh Allen is awesome. Fantastic player. But for me, I think that's honestly the biggest factor is that, hey, Lamar's got 2 and Josh Allen doesn't have one.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. This is a regular season award. But Baltimore, and I don't know when the voting actually takes place. So maybe this is a stupid question, but I feel like the vote, I don't think the voting takes place and they wait all this time to announce it. Maybe they do, but do you think the Ravens losing to the Bills in the divisional round has anything to do with it? Had Baltimore got that win, do you think that Lamar Jackson would have won the MVP, even though it's not supposed to factor in?
Are the votes already in? That's a great question.
I don't know.
Like the NBA MVP is a regular season award. The playoffs do not matter. I've always thought that was the same for the NFL. Am I wrong?
Well,
Like when the votes are counted, like when the votes have to be in.
That's the only thing. I guess I'm saying is, even if they don't vote, then what happened in the playoffs may influence people, even though it's a regular season award. I don't know, but it's close. I guess the other thing is some people view the MVP differently. Some people view it as who's the best player in the league. Other people view it as who's the most valuable to their team. And I mean, the argument can be made that, Baltimore, what they end up with like 9 Pro Bowlers, and what did Buffalo only have 1 other than Josh Allen? I mean, that's a factor. Like maybe, I guess defining what you think of the MVP could be a problem too. It's also not as far off. So Lamar Jackson, 45 total touchdowns, but he had 12 turnovers, or excuse me, 8 turnovers. Lost 4 fumbles, 4 interceptions. Josh Allen, 40 total touchdowns, but he had fewer total turnovers. He only had 6 turnovers. He didn't lose any fumbles. 12 rushing touchdowns. So that puts him at 40 total to Lamar Jackson's 45 total. But, if you ask me who's the better player, who would you want on your team? I'm taking Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry.
I think both are, I think the conversation around both are very similar. Everyone acknowledges that Lamar Jackson is excellent. Everyone acknowledges that Josh Allen is excellent. Everyone also acknowledges that both of those guys have a Patrick Mahomes problem.
Yeah.
That's just where they're at, man. And until they break through, they're going to be viewed on that level below until someone can knock the Chiefs off. And so I view both of those guys very similarly. I think they are incredibly talented. And they're must see TV at the quarterback position for me. Like what those guys could do physically is just I mean it's ridiculous. But they're I kind of view them both at the same level. It's just like, oh, those are the guys that are incredible, but can't beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it almost sounds like there's a chance we're all having the wrong debate here. It's Patrick Mahomes until someone can beat him, right?
And I know that's not how football works. Like these quarterbacks aren't playing against each other. Like that's not how the sport works, but that's how the quarterback position is viewed. And I do think as far as Josh Allen winning it over Lamar, I do think the biggest factor is Lamar's got two. Josh Allen didn't have one. And if you go look at Josh Allen's supporting cast, Lamar Jackson's got some better playmakers around him than
Sure.
Josh Allen did. Remember, Shakir was essentially their number one wide receiver
On both sides of the ball, too.
Yeah, I mean Baltimore's got a really good roster.
Yep.
Both guys are excellent. I enjoyed the debate. I love that some people voted Allen for MVP, but had Lamar Jackson on their first team All Pro ballot, which is okay, sure.
Right.
But
Well, see, that gets back to I the best player or the most valuable to their team. And that's why the definition is kind of weird. And I guess I can understand someone doing that, but I don't think I would. If I'm picking, I would have had Lamar Jackson as the MVP and as all pro quarterback, personally.
I I think that's a very fair position to have. He was incredible this season.
So much so that I thought they were going to just cruise and win the Super Bowl the way that they were playing. I mean, they look like the best team to me by far for a pretty decent chunk of the season.
Well, we're recording this part before the Super Bowl is played, so we really can't comment on the Chiefs. There's a Chiefs thing to be said right here, but it's
Right.
that game has not happened yet. We're doing things a little out of order here, but it is we'll see. Both guys, Chiefs problem.
Chiefs problem. That's right.
You think of the alternate universe for these two guys if Patrick Mahomes just didn't exist.
It's hard to think, like, not just for these two guys, like the whole league. The whole league would have had a totally different, because they've won four of the last six, right? They've been to five.
This is the fifth Super Bowl for Mahomes.
The only one they didn't go to was when the Bengals went, right?
The one that I was in the stands for. Awesome. Great.
Well,
All right, let's get to my winner and loser of the weekend. But first,
Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It lets you see all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money's going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. You get alerts if bills increase in price, if there's unusual spending activity, or if you're close to going over budget. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate to lower your bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with the customer service so you don't have to. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/game on today. That's rocketmoney.com/game on. rocketmoney.com/game on.
and Lucy Breakers are 100% pure nicotine pouches with an extra burst of flavor, and you can get them delivered right to your front door. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown at checkout for 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co and use promo code breakdown. My go-to Lucy breakers, 4 milligrams in mint. I'm I'm not as hardcore as Ted. Ted's an 8 milligram espresso guy. I'm not as cool as him. Okay, I'm fine with that. But Lucy Breakers come in a variety of flavors, including classics like my favorite mint, but they've also got berry citrus, espresso, and mango. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown for 20% off your first order. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning: this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. My winner of the weekend. OU, we needed some positivity. Thank you, Austin Reaves. How that was so much fun to watch. And there was a lot of chatter around this game because ESPN had moved all kinds of stuff around they thought they were televising Luka's first game as a Laker. Well, Luka didn't play. And then as a result of that, LeBron didn't play. And so they had moved like the Duke Clemson start time because of this, all these moving parts, and people were going, ESPN did this all for nothing. They moved all of this stuff for a Luka-less and LeBron-less Lakers game. But Austin Reaves gave us a damn show, man. 45 points.
He's been great since he got in the league, really. And I don't think I'm the only one, but he was great at Oklahoma. He could hit some incredible shots. And you felt like, he's going to go to the NBA and he can have a career there. In no way, and maybe this just shows that I don't know anything about basketball, but in no way did I think that he was going to be the player that he is.
I don't think many people, if any, outside of the Reaves family maybe, saw him becoming the creator that he is. That's the thing. Like, he's not a standstill shooter.
Right.
He's not a catch and shoot. Oh, he's firing, 8 threes a game guy. No, he's playing point guard for them and has become a really, really good pick and roll ball handler. And this wasn't 45 points of, he hit, he just hit 7 threes. He got to the rim, finished at the rim, hit tough pull-up jump shots, hit threes, like had a couple dunks. Like, he did everything, man. Like, he is, if those two guys are out, like the Lakers have their playmaker, and it's Austin Reaves.
It's crazy.
45 points on 26 shots. Got to the free throw line, hit all his free throws, like 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Like, the guy was absolutely balling and doing it with the headband on, which somehow he makes it work. It looks so goofy, but when you score 45, it doesn't feel goofy.
Yeah. He's fun to watch. Like you said, he's a great playmaker. He could shoot off the dribble, catch and shoot. He's fun to watch. Again, it's awesome because I never expected it. I don't know. It's pretty wild that he's gone and be able to become. I mean, he's a household name. Austin Reaves is a household name.
I don't cheer for the Lakers. I will never cheer for the Lakers. But I'm cheering for Austin Reaves, and the way that he balled out on Saturday, it made me feel a little bit better about the OU basketball situation. I don't know why, but it took a little of the disappointment away just watching that guy go crazy like that. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we need someone to go crazy for OU now, though. But you're right. He's, what do they call him? Hillbilly
Kobe.
Hillbilly Kobe.
Dude, he is averaging 19 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds this year.
It's close to Morant's numbers.
Like he is balling, man.
Yep.
Now you had that the Lakers. Do you see that trade for Mark Williams from Charlotte got rescinded?
Yeah. It
That doesn't
leaves
happen
them
very often.
no, and doesn't that leave them in a pretty bad spot because they expecting? I mean, obviously they were expecting that to go through, but they've got some holes to fill, and that was supposed to be one of them.
They, I mean, the trade deadline is
Gone.
passed,
Yeah.
so maybe I don't know with the new CBA and the aprons and all that stuff. Like I'm not quite sure how the buyout market works now and what you can and can't do from that standpoint. But they've got Jackson Hayes at center, and that's it.
Yeah.
Mark Williams was supposed to be, another piece for them. It's kind of supposed to fill that void left when Anthony Davis got traded. But how awkward is that for Dalton Connect? Like, hey,
Yeah.
man, we traded you. It ended up not working because this guy failed his physical. Welcome back. No hard feelings. Like, it's got to be incredibly awkward.
Yeah, it is. That's crazy. It's nuts though. I mean, the Lakers have gone from not very long ago being like a team that had crazy size to where now it may be a problem for them matchup wise as they move forward. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how it all works though once they get up and rolling and they've had a little bit of time together.
My loser of the weekend, or one last thing on the Lakers. I refuse to allow the Lakers to become likable, and I feel like somehow, some way, they're starting to become likable, and I don't like it.
How? But okay, I
Once we see
understand.
Luka and LeBron on the court, and the amount of complaining that's going to take place, they'll become things will things will get back to normal. Okay,
I
they'll be
think
very unlikable.
I think as everyone has focused their hate on the Mavericks, that somehow yes, the Lakers. I don't know that I go to the all the way to likable, but in the mess, we've forgotten that we hate them, and now they have the two most hateable players together, and they don't cancel each other out. It doesn't work that way.
We just need Luka to get back on the court
Yes.
and really whine, and then it'll be because right now people are like on Luka Doncic's side.
Yeah.
Like him getting done dirty by the Mavericks has made him this sympathetic figure. It was only a week ago we all hated the guy. And now it's like, oh man, I can't believe they did him that way. That's messed up. We just need him to get back on the court and do all the whining, and then we can go back to not liking him.
They're rolling right now, though. They've won 9 out of their last 10. Um, what do we play? Does the Thunder play them anytime coming up soon?
I've not looked that far ahead on the schedule. I hope. I hope so. Let's look. I don't see a Lakers logo. This is great podcasting right here.
Not until April 6th and 8th, back to back.
How about that? Well, at
Interesting.
that point, Thunder may be resting guys for the playoffs at that point.
Yeah.
With the lead that the squad is building in the Western Conference, that may be some rest time for some of the starters. My loser of the weekend, Dallas Mavericks. Just a roller coaster of emotions for them this weekend. Fans, players, coaches, everyone still processing the Luka trade. You had, do you call it a protest? What was that out in front of their arena? What was that? Protest, right? They
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
picketing. What was going on?
Picketing, protesting.
There were signs, there were t-shirts. People are very angry at Nico Harrison. I get it. But then the game started and Anthony Davis looked incredible. I mean, he was dominant In 31 minutes, 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks. He was throwing lobs. He was catching lobs. He was hitting threes. He was hitting turnaround jumpers. He was hitting fadeaways. He was finishing at the rim. He was putting on a show. He was everywhere, Ted. And then what happened? Just, I don't know what, like, he just grabs at his nether region, falls to the ground, goes to the locker room, never comes back. You talk about the experience for a Mavs fan, like, oh, why did we trade Luka? Oh my gosh, Anthony Davis is so amazing. This is the best trade ever. We're going to be unstoppable. Oh, he's hurt. And I love how he said after it's no big, it's nothing serious. I'm fine. How are we supposed to believe that, Anthony Davis?
I don't know. No big deal for him is, miss 10 games or something. I don't know. The guy misses so much basketball. It's crazy. But I mean, welcome to Anthony Davis. This is the life with him on your roster. He's going to look great, and then he's going to miss extended time. Then he's going to look great, then he's going to miss extended time.
That it was some type of tightness, some type of spasm there in the groin/quad area. Nothing serious. You sure, big fella? Like, you sure?
He's either lying or he's the softest person in the world that it's like tightness and he collapses to the ground in agony and in pain. Like, that's not what tightness means, you know? Tightness is after a timeout, you come over to the bench. It's like, last couple times up and down the court hasn't felt real good. You don't collapse into a heap in the paint in the fetal position over tightness.
To the Mavs' credit, he goes out. They finish the job in the fourth quarter.
Let me ask you, because I've seen a lot of this conversation floating around that the Mavs think that this lineup is better suited to beat like Oklahoma City.
I just don't see how you can think your team got better by getting rid of Luka Doncic. I know he's been banged up. I get it, but now I will say they looked enormous with Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford on the floor together.
Yeah.
But now that we have Hartenstein, that big lineup does not scare me the way it did a season ago. Like, Chet and Hartenstein match up just fine with those two dudes.
Yeah.
So I am, once again, I'm continuing to work through the process of realizing that we absolutely probably should win an NBA title this year. I'm getting there. I'm working through it. But it is like Dallas without Luka does not scare me. Is it going to be an easy series? No, absolutely not. But one thing that I haven't heard really anyone talk about is, well, now that Luka's gone, Dort just gets to guard Kyrie. Have fun with that, Kyrie.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
and if Dort struggles with that, then hey, you throw Case and Wallace at him, and then you throw Caruso at him. It's like the one thing. I swear, PJ Washington. I hope we get that series. I don't think it's going to have the same juice it would have because Luka was just so fun to sports hate. I mean, my goodness. But
doesn't it work out though? I mean, don't the sports gods give us Lakers Dallas matchup somehow?
It's the only thing that would feel right, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, just looked incredible and then
Look,
collapsed. We'll see. We'll see if it's nothing serious. We'll see what it looks like moving forward for him. But yeah, the NBA, I cannot believe the NBA has created so much buzz during Super Bowl week.
yeah, it's true.
Like, I feel like this is the most I've thought about the NBA this time of the year in a very long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um,
Also, very dialed in because of how good the Thunder are. So it's all connected, Ted.
we're locked in right now. We're locked in.
Birthday shout outs. Happy 11th birthday to Thomas Jennings.
Happy 12th birthday to Cooper Lutz.
And happy 36th birthday to Dr. Cassidy Legako. Legako? Legako. Legako.
Legaco. I think that's the right one. I just love whenever you first say it and you just stare at me waiting.
I'm looking for like a, yeah, dude, that you nailed it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I can't believe we still do birthday shout outs, but they're so many people appreciate them.
That's good. I love it.
Episode 500 in the books.
Bam.
Working on getting some guests lined up these next couple weeks. It's officially the football off season, so trying to get some of the former players on to talk with us, and that should be a lot of fun. I hope you guys have an awesome start to your week. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Wednesday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, check out our website, okbreakdown.com. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.